And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show, live from Universal City.
We are broadcasting live from the Universal Hilton. We're at the cabana right next to the pool as we witness people going over the edge for a cause. The cause helping out the Union Rescue Mission. If you want to be a part of this event, it's so easy. Go to urm.org/OTE. You can still sign up and people can rappel today and tomorrow. Go down 25 stories, all to help the homeless the right way. You can also just donate to the Union Rescue Mission. They're matching donations up to $500,000. They're trying to raise $1.8 million, and right now they're at 1.726. So donate today. Help out the Union Rescue Mission. Go to urm.org/OTE.
Now, you scaled down the building last year, but you're not doing it this year.
Yeah. I did my time.
Yeah.
You were going to do it this year.
Well, I don't know if I've told you this, Randy, but I'm afraid of heights.
Is that so?
Did I ever tell you that before?
First time I've heard it, but sure.
Let me tell you how afraid of heights I am. Whenever I buy an airplane ticket, I always buy it on American Airlines because I know when I buy that ticket, the flight is going to cancel and I'm never going to be in the air. That's how afraid of heights I am. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. She is the former majority leader for the California Senate. You can follow her on X at Gloria J. Romero. Senator Gloria Romero, welcome.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for stopping by. So let's start out by talking about Prop 50, which is the proposition that Gavin Newsom is pushing for that would scrap the district lines that were drawn up by the Independent Commission and replace them with lines that were drawn up by Washington politicians to benefit themselves. Right now, according to the latest poll that I saw, public support is sitting at 52% for Prop 50. Now, while that would be enough to pass the initiative, if that's where the people of California end up being, that's not where you want to be when you start out the process of campaigning for a ballot initiative. Typically, the rule of thumbs is you want to be north of 60 on the yes side if you're going to have a realistic chance of passing. Now, former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, who you served with when you were in the legislature, has been traveling up and down the state campaigning against Proposition 50 and throwing some sharp elbows at Gavin Newsom and his efforts to pass this thing. Arnold says he is not going to sit on the sidelines, that he's going to do whatever it is that he has to do to defeat it. What do you make of what Arnold Schwarzenegger is doing and saying, and do you think he can stop this thing from passing?
Well, I stand with the Terminator in saying that California voters must terminate Prop 50. This is the biggest election rigging going on. This is gerrymandering. What this proposal has, this proposition that we'll be voting on in a special election, $200+ million taken from the people of California that put this on the ballot, all to basically boost the delusions of grandeur of Gavin Newsom thinking he'll be the president one day if he takes on Trump. That's what this is about. But we got to fight it. It basically just says throw out what the people ourselves voted for a few years ago to say we want independence in drawing the lines. And what Gavin is doing is saying, him and Nancy and all the backroom politicians are saying, oh no, move aside, independent people. We, the politicians, will pick our voters. It's rigging. It's bad for democracy from the so-called party of democracy. And you're right, polling at 52%, that is a bad way to start this. We've got to get out there and say, hell no, no way. Go with Prop 50. So I salute the governor, the former governor, Governor Schwarzenegger, and I stand with him.
What do you make of the claim from Gavin Newsom and others that this is only temporary, that as soon as we redraw the lines again after the next census, that it'll be the Independent Commission doing it again, and it won't be politicians drawing their own districts? I can tell you this. I remember when Jerry Brown asked us to raise taxes to balance the budget here in California, and one of his promises was that the tax increases would only be temporary. Well, of course, that wasn't true. They extended those taxes. We're still paying them to this day. And whenever you drive on a bridge, typically there's a toll associated with that bridge that was supposed to be there for a certain period of time. And once the bridge was paid off, the toll is supposed to go away. That never happens either. They just redirect that money to other things because if people are used to paying the toll, why take it away and give them a break? Just have them continue to pay the toll, and you can use that money for other things.
You're absolutely right. There is no such thing as temporary when it comes to a tax or when it takes away the people's right to really being able to participate in a full democracy in California, a constitutional republic state. So they say temporary. I'm sure they poll tested it and said, oh, it sounds better if we don't admit this is a power grab and just claim that it's, only for a few more years till 2030. And then everything else will go back to normal. It's a lie now. It will be a lie in the future. And I believe the people of California are smart enough to understand once they see that word temporary, they understand, oh, no. It's simply a fake word, and this will be forevermore. Once you give away our power, the power is not coming back.
True story. The phone tax, the tax that we all pay on our telephone each and every month, was supposed to be a temporary tax that was intended to pay for the Spanish-American War. Well, it's been a long time since the Spanish has caused us any problems, but we're all still paying that tax.
Absolutely, and take a look at L.A. County. I mean, we were supposed to have a temporary, increase in the sales tax only for a short period of time. Well, here it was. It's extended once again. So this thing temporary, like I said, it was all poll tested. Let's find the best way. Then you had an attorney general who was appointed by the governor himself write the ballot initiative in such a way that never admits this is a power grab by a power-hungry, vain governor who has delusions of grandeur, thinking he'll become the president by bashing Trump, bashing Texas. But, the AG, he basically is subservient to the governor who appointed him and writes this, it's just temporary, it's just okay, it's about democracy, and it's because Texas did it. And it has nothing to do with Texas. This is a pure power grab by a very vain, egotistical governor, and it's doomed for failure. But we've got to get out. It's a special election. It was intended that way because they think they will get their troops out, and it will be a formidable army. But we, the people of California, across political spectrums, if we believe that we, the people, should have a government of our choice, not a government that the politicians want, then we've got to get out and vote. And so it's very important for us to do so. But I'm actually encouraged by that 52% rating because it all goes downhill from there. And we've got to get it below the 50% level, well below that, so that it sends a message to Governor, basically, that FAFO, don't mess with the people of California. Forget Texas, don't mess with Californians.
We're speaking with Senator Gloria Romero, who you can follow on X at Gloria J. Romero. Senator, let's shift gears here and talk about the gubernatorial race that is already underway here in California. New polls that include the name of not declared candidate, but someone who's playing footsie with running for governor is U.S. Senator Alex Padilla. I think a lot of people made the assumption that because he has been elected statewide so many times in California and because he is a U.S. Senator here in California, should he throw his hat in the ring, he would become the instant favorite in the next race for governor. However, the new poll that just came out said that's not entirely true. In fact, if you include his name with all the other candidates who have declared for governor, he ends up in the middle of the pack, which leads me to believe that not as many people in the state of California know who he is than I'm sure he assumed knew who he was, because otherwise he'd be polling much better than that. I'd go back to and refer to Kamala Harris, who was never a declared candidate for governor, but because of her name ID and time in the U.S. Senate, time as vice president, she was always polling in first place. The same is not true for Alex Padilla. Does that surprise you?
It doesn't really surprise me, but you're right in that, most people don't know who he is. I think if you go out and ask your average Californian, they have no idea who their senator is, much less their Congress member. So I think in this case, though, I think what it's showing, and I think it's sort of a canary that's out there, they're testing the waters. As I interpret what's happening, I think much of the Democratic establishment in California does not want to see Katie Porter elected. And I think it's more of and there's a whole history there of what they don't like about her, et cetera. And I'm not exactly her fan either, but she has consistently been at the top of the poll of Democratic candidates in this potential election. So I think they're floating somebody because all of the other Democratic candidates are polling in single-digit numbers. So I think this is really like maneuvering behind the scenes, trying to get Alex Padilla to go out there and, do the stunt, remember, with the Homeland Security and cry, saying, oh, golly gee, they pushed me to the floor after he jumped, basically, the Homeland Security at her own press conference. And so I think they're trying to float it, like here is a fighter of against Trump. He's going to stand up. How do we consolidate this? And remember, Alex Padilla was appointed the senator by Gavin Newsom. So there's a lot of footsies going on behind the scenes. I think it's still early to tell. Let's take a look at it. But I think that is what's going on with Alex Padilla. And no, nobody knows his name. But throw in a few $100 million, and after a while, everybody might know your name.
Well, that race has also seen yet another candidate make it official this week. Of course, speaking of former assemblyman, Democratic assemblyman from Whittier, who is one of the Calderon clan. Ian Calderon says he wants to be the next governor of California. And his race is almost entirely funded by the cryptocurrency industry. And that is an issue that he said he would make a top priority. We haven't seen them get involved, that industry, get involved in a gubernatorial race in any sort of major way before. In the last U.S. Senate race that we had here in California, they came in hard against Katie Porter, and they just pummeled her with ad after ad after ad after ad that took her way down in the polls and ultimately helped keep her off the November ballot. We know they can help defeat candidates, but we haven't seen them get behind a candidate before. Katie Porter, of course, running for governor this time around. So if they're willing to spend money on this race, I guess they could do it on behalf of Ian Calderon or against Katie Porter if it's just something personal, something Sicilian they have with her. What do you make of his campaign, and what do you make of that industry saying they're going to play in this race?
Well, I'm not a fan of Ian Calderon. I don't think he really has much of a public record on public service. But I think it goes to the point that I was raising earlier, and that is I think much of the Democratic establishment is looking at Katie Porter, and to their chagrin and horror, quite frankly, she continues to emerge as the top vote getter in terms of the polling. And I think they're looking at, oh, my God, we've got to stop this, minivan mom with the whiteboard, et cetera, that nobody liked in Congress, and they like her even less in California. I think it's this power struggle against her. And I got to give her credit as I watch this and to think, okay, you go, girl, you keep going at it. But I think the machine, because believe me, there is a political machine in California. I've seen it, and I've been run over by it as well. So it is real in California. But I think they're looking at how do they stop her, and they're trying to propel somebody forward. Remember, Eleni already jumped out of the race. Kamala decided she wasn't going to run. Let's see if Tony Atkins has any juice behind her. But I think they're really looking at Alex Padilla as a potential, and can they start consolidating this? At the end of the day, the primary, and remember, it's a jungle primary, but it is split. We have Republican candidates as well that hopefully there could just be one. There could be a united ticket there so that the Republicans don't split our own vote. But I think we're also in the same race. We're looking at this little mini Democratic primary, and all the warfare is against one candidate. It's against Katie Porter, who much of the establishment does not want. So it's interesting to watch. You take out the popcorn, it might be fun for a while.
Let's just assume for a moment that Alex Padilla doesn't take off, Ian Calderon doesn't take off, and the others that they're flirting with right now don't take off. At a certain point, do they start to give Villaraigosa and Becerra a second look?
Well, I think they'll give a second, third, fourth, fifth look overall. I think, and each of them may have their own credentials. I think former Secretary, I was going to say Baccaria. Oh my God, I'm now even remembering what Biden called him. Becerra. I think on paper he's a very good, intelligent, probably more moderate than the others types of candidate. I've always liked Secretary Becerra. I wish he had stayed in California and not been undermined by the Biden administration and the post that he took and the positions that he ultimately took as the health secretary. So I think somebody like him could be credible. I think he'd get a lot of congressional support, probably labor support. And I think he would, away from the Biden administration and all the wacko stuff there, probably be a very moderate, business-friendly, but I think a very beloved candidate. So somebody like him, I think, would be very strong. Let's see, though, Tony Atkins, again, too, is a very powerful person in San Diego County. And I think, too, she may be able to rack up support if the Alex Padilla name begins to fail. At the end of the day, I think, too, all of these issues are taking place within the Republican sort of primary within the primary. And let's take a look at, can Steve Hilton continue to grow? Will Chad Bianco continue to grow? Can they form an alliance? Because if you've got 2 and 3 and 4 independent and Republican candidates, it's just throwing away that vote. So you're going to, it's like New York with the Mamdani race. When you have just Mamdani and then you've got 3 other candidates, they're going to split the vote. So Mamdani basically ends up being elected. We have to, I think, take a look at not only who we want, but also who we don't want, and then make some choices. Maybe I plug my nose and vote for somebody because I don't want this person in office.
Speaking of the Republicans, we know that President Trump's endorsement matters a whole lot in Republican primaries. Do you think he's going to get involved in this race and endorse, or do you think he's going to stay out of it?
I don't know. And again, too, that is really the million-dollar question. I think many taking a look nationally, for example, New Jersey, I think much of them is people are looking at where is the best place to go at this point. Probably New Jersey, the possibility of having a Republican candidate win in a very blue state at this time is probably in New Jersey. And so I think that's probably where they're going to go to take a look at it. New York with Lee Stefanik next year probably is going to be on the ballot as well. California has always been relegated to the far end, like it's almost Neverland. There will never be a change there. I think, though, the more that we work, the more that we do this in an intelligent way, reaching out not only to the red side or the blue side. I think the more we believe and say it is a golden state. California is not red or blue. We are a golden state. And I think if we can reach across the aisle, be respectful, advocate for things that people care about in California, there's hope, I think, for us being able to turn the tide, especially at this time in California. So I'm hopeful. I would hope that Trump would be able to weigh in, but it's too soon. And I think, too, internally, the Republicans ourselves have to get our act together as well. And I now say our because I'm now a Republican, and basically to say, let's put forth the best, strongest candidate forward and get behind that person. That's what I'm hoping for. It's still early. Let the candidates talk. They're meeting, going up and down the state. That's good. I was with Steve Hilton in Berkeley, actually, talking to students about, and many from the Turning Point USA chapter as well, about taking a look at affordability in California just a few days ago. And it was a very positive reaction to the message of Steve Hilton as governor, and it was fascinating to be part of that conversation. So it's early, though, but let's take a look at it, and I think register and come out to vote. But most importantly,
all right,
I think we've got to focus on Prop 50 and the November election. That's what's before us now.
Senator Gloria Romero, thank you so much for stopping by. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's the John Phillips Show, live from Universal City. And we continue at 1:34 in the afternoon, live from Universal City.
We are broadcasting live from the Universal Hilton for the Union Rescue Mission's Over the Edge event. People are literally jumping off the top of the Universal Hilton as we speak and then rappelling down 25 stories. If this sounds like something you want to do, you can sign up. They're doing this all day today and tomorrow. Go to urm.org/OTE. Or if you just want to help the Union Rescue Mission in their goal to help the people that are homeless the right way, all you got to do is go to the website, urm.org/OTE. They're matching donations up to $500,000 as they try to raise $1.8 million, and they're almost there. They're at 1.726. So donate today, urm.org/OTE.
And our very own Art Webb is going to be going down there shortly.
Yes, last year, Art got stuck.
He got stuck.
He was going down too fast, and if you go down too fast, they stop you, and you got to dangle for a second. But it's going to be fine. He's learned his lesson. He was safe the entire time, but you have to go down very slowly, or they're worried that you don't know what you're doing, and then they stop you.
Well, I think he's planning on doing that again, because right before he left, he was talking to his attorney on the phone, talking about a DNR.
Don't know if our insurance covers that.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, now that we've hit the halfway point of today's show, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts.
Quite frankly.
Whether it's the Apple Podcast app,
Quite frankly.
iHeart,
Quite frankly.
Spotify.
Quite frankly.
Search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe, you can download all the episodes.
I love the bus driver.
There's a squirrel running around here. Do you see that?
Yes. This is a first for any live broadcast that we've done, and we've done quite a few over the last 5 years. But this is the first time we have a rodent running around outside of the broadcast booth.
Where's Steve Irwin when you need him? I guess I should have said Junior. All right. Well, Randy, we mentioned the interview that Arnold Schwarzenegger did with CNN's Alex Michelson about Proposition 50, but we actually have some of that sound.
And by the way, good on Alex. Your first interview on the channel, I got Arnold. Who'd you get? But here is what Arnold Schwarzenegger, the former governor, had to say with Alex Michelson on his first interview on CNN about Prop 50.
What's your view in terms of what should happen nationwide when it comes to redistricting?
Well, first of all, in California, it's a big mistake to go and to dismantle and to basically kind of get rid of the independent redistricting commission.
Wow, he did all of that without one catchphrase.
Under the auspices of we got to have more power than the Republicans. And we got to fight Trump. Because, yes, they are fixing the elections in Texas. But that does not mean that California should fix the elections because of that. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Okay, now we're getting into cliche territory, but I like what I'm hearing.
Well, once he breaks the seal, guess what's coming next?
It's that simple. And whenever the politicians say that we're only doing this temporarily with the redistricting commission, with the independent one, there's no such thing with politicians and temporarily.
He doesn't believe Gavin when Gavin says we're going to give the power back to the people in 2031?
No, and he's 100% correct. If we pass Prop 50, the independent commission will never draw lines again.
Have you ever seen a tax that stopped? When they say this is just temporary, it is permanent. I am for the power of the people, not the parties, and therefore I say vote no on Proposition 50.
Because when I talk to Governor Newsom...
You know how impactful his statements are when he doesn't throw the word terminate in them?
It's very hard for him to do that.
He's trying really hard to be serious here, and I think we should all give him a round of applause for that.
Because when I talked to Governor Newsom about this and about your conversation with him about this, he told me that he said to you, if we are not successful that there will be no more independent redistricting. The whole thing's over.
What do you think that meeting was like? Did Gavin Newsom spark a cigar with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
My guess is it was a very brief meeting. Not enough time for a stogie.
Not even a cocktail?
Nope.
He has no faith in President Trump in order to do fair elections if Republicans have all control. And he says that it is temporary. You don't buy what Governor Newsom's saying?
Of course not. Look, I've sat there in Sacramento. I've listened to the politicians for 7 years. They are not interested in giving any power to the people. The only interest that they have is to take power away from the people and grab it themselves. So
sounds like 2003 all over again.
So this gives them a great opportunity by saying, oh, we have to fight Trump. Let's go and get rid of our democratic principles. Imagine to fight for democracy and to get rid of your democratic principles. It doesn't make any sense. And plus, we have so many homeless people in California. And there they cannot do anything about it. But they're spending...
He sees them every day when he goes out to Muscle Beach.
Well, Venice Beach, yeah. How can you not?
And there they cannot do anything about it. But they're spending $200 million on a special election. I would rather give this money to the homeless people that really need it rather than to the politicians.
Wait, directly to them?
That may not be a good idea.
I mean, we can try. We've seen what happens when you just put it through nonprofits.
Let's go back to that point that he made a moment ago about how this will be permanent if we pass Prop 50. The independent commission is going to go bye-bye. If the impetus for doing this is that we don't like what Texas and other states are doing, well, guess what? When we do the next census, you're not going to have any more control over what other states do. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to make a choice as to whether or not they draw fair lines or they gerrymander it up. Whatever the case may be, none of us in California have a say over what goes on in Texas, Florida, Missouri, fill in the blank. That's not how it works. So if what he's saying is we have to respond to what other states are doing, then of course it's permanent because some of them are going to gerrymander it up because that's their choice.
Doesn't help that certain members of the legislature made deals so they can get beautiful districts just for them.
Including the prune farmer.
I would rather give this money to the homeless people that really need it rather than to the politicians. Let's give the money to the people rather than the politicians. This is what this is all about. That's why I'm against Proposition 50. That's why I always will say nothing against Newsom. We don't have a fight over this at all.
Yeah, because you guys met. What was that like? When you
it was a
met
wonderful
together?
meeting. He told me what he felt. I told him, I said, I totally get it because this is what you need to do to be the leader of the party. I totally get it, but I'm not a party person, I said. I'm a people's person.
Are you going to be campaigning anymore? What's your role? Are you going to be doing interviews, going around the state, doing rallies? What's your role in this campaign?
No, I have no plan. All I wanted to do really is to come out and to say to the people, hold it. Before you go and vote, you should know this is a scam. And vote no on Proposition 50.
This is a scam.
That's some pretty strong language.
So potentially hundreds of millions of dollars could be spent on this fight over Prop 50, with right now Governor Newsom largely being the face of yes in ads and former Governor Schwarzenegger largely being the face of no.
There you go. There's the latest with Alex Michelson's sit down with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he calls Prop 50 what?
You should know this is a scam.
What'll be interesting if he does campaign up and down the state against it, who is his audience? I have a feeling that his audience will be very different this time around than when he ran against Gray Davis in the recall election the first time around.
You know, there's a lot of voters that weren't even born then.
Well, 2003, that's
22 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
It's the year I graduated high school. Now I feel old.
All right, coming up next, we're going to be joined in person by our very own... It's the John Phillips Show, live from Universal City.
We are broadcasting live today from the beautiful Universal Hilton right next to Universal Studios. We are here with the Union Rescue Mission for their Over the Edge event, where people are going over the edge 25 stories down, rappelling all the way down, all to help the cause of the Union Rescue Mission, helping people with homelessness. If you want to help out, if you want to get involved, if you want to sign up and rappel down 25 stories, they're doing it today and tomorrow. Go to the website and sign up, urm.org/OTE, or if you just want to help out the Union Rescue Mission, donate today. And they're trying to raise $1.8 million. They're at 1.726, so help them out today. urm.org/OTE.
Joining us right now is the voice of business news for Southern California. You listen to him each and every weekday afternoon right here on Talk Radio 790 KABC in Los Angeles. Mr. Frank Mottek, hello.
Hello there, John Phillips, Randy. Well, let's get right down to business, shall we? It's been an exciting day here so far at the Universal Hilton Hotel, and people are repelling, and we are appealing for more support for the Union Rescue Mission. We've got a great crowd here, and people are off the side of the building here right now as we speak. So a very, very exciting event, and so appreciate your great support here for Union Rescue Mission. I know Mark Hood, the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission. We do the Just Help One radio show and podcast here on 790 KABC every Thursday evening. And he is going to be on your show, I believe, later this afternoon, and also on Mottek on Money later this afternoon. Everyone is very, very excited, and it looks like the results here are looking really, really good, with off to a great start here with a lot of funds coming in for URM, and we want to continue to see that happen. So please do go to urm.org, and if you want to go rappel off the top of the Universal Hilton, you still have a chance to do that today or tomorrow. Go to urm.org/OTE. That's OTE for Over the Edge.
Now, you have done it before. You've come down the Universal Hilton before. Randy did it last year, and Randy asked me earlier today if I was going to do it. So, Frank, I'll be the first one to tell you, I plan on doing it next year if it's at a Hampton Inn.
Which is what, about 2 or 3 stories?
Yeah,
Okay.
Then I'll do it, maybe.
All right, well, I'm not sure they're going to move it next year. This is, I believe, the 7th time they've done it here, and, you know, it's a challenge, a mental challenge. I did it last year, and I'm still excited and shaking after that exhilarating experience, and I gave up my spot today. You know, we've had such a great demand here today for people wanting to do it, so I did give up my spot here to go over the edge, but I have to say it's a challenge to rappel down the side of this building, and but once you do go over that edge and you head down, you'll be okay.
Well, you do it at the Hampton Inn, they give you a waffle at the end.
That's true. That's true. I've had those waffles. It's sort of like a yoga mat, right? That kind of consistency. I don't know if I would recommend it, John. There are better places.
But the
here,
beauty is, Frank, it's the same waffle whether you're in California, you're in Louisiana, or you're in Switzerland. If you're at a Hampton, it's the same waffle.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to waffle about good food here, Randy. I know you're the expert on that. So, but I'm with you, John. I hope you do it next year. And again, thank you so very much. We got a great team here from 790 KABC, and starting with our program director, Luis Segura, and Art Webb, by the way, our executive producer, is about to go over the edge. So Godspeed, Art Webb. Debbie Payne is here. Larry Bloomhagen, I know, was here last year, is here with us in spirit here today as well. And I got to say, Sandra Endo with Fox 11 did an amazing job live on the air, going over the edge with Richard Newcomb, the Vice President of Philanthropy at the Union Rescue Mission. Christina Pascucci went over the edge a little while ago, the award-winning journalist, and overall awesome person. So we've had a lot of great participation, and, of course, all the great donors here. And it's been a fantastic day here, and look forward to hearing more about it on the air here with you, and then on Mottek on Money in the 4 o'clock hour.
And you're going to be doing your show from this booth right here next to the pool later on today.
Yes, sir. You're going to be relinquishing the chrysanthemum throne by 4 o'clock, and yes, I'll be seated there, and we'll be doing the whole works as we normally do on the business show with our top analyst talking about a big week for crypto as well as the market. So, and then Mark Hood and others will be joining me to talk more about this great event.
And you're going to have to show great restraint because the people can't see us, but we're here at the pool area at the Universal Hilton, and we've got a pool bar right next to us. And so that's going to be many hours of sitting next to a pool bar in front of a pool while drinking Coca-Cola.
Right, and hearing Jimmy Buffett music, too. I love that. I absolutely love it. You know, I used to live in Florida, so I used to see him in the Florida Keys, and what a treat. So loving this whole environment here, and most importantly, excited about the great support we're seeing for the Union Rescue Mission, which is the #1 organization helping the homeless here in the Los Angeles area, with the highest possible rating from Charity Navigator. You know, we also do the Just Help One radio show and podcast every Thursday evening here on 790 KABC with Mark Hood, the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission. And we invite everyone to listen to that as well. And we have business and civic leaders on that program with a lot of inspiring stories, success stories of how they've transformed lives at Union Rescue Mission. So God bless everyone here and those who support URM.
And this is one of these issues where the private sector, private philanthropy, really has to step up, because we know that so many government agencies that are funded by the taxpayers to deal with this issue, they're really dropping the ball in so many ways, where we've seen individuals affiliated with these groups in L.A. and San Francisco get in trouble for doing things with the funds that they shouldn't be doing. We know that the whole harm reduction thing that many, including Barbara Ferrer here in Los Angeles, subscribe to, is not helping. In fact, it's hurting. And these organizations have to try to fix the problems that are frequently created by the government entities.
Right. Actually encouraging drug use. I think the thinking is changing now because what Union Rescue Mission is doing is working, and that is getting government attention now. I've been very encouraged by some of the guests we've had on the Just Help One radio show, for example. Prominent people in government, as well as, of course, in the business and private sector, realize that what URM is doing is very, very comprehensive. It is a faith-based organization, but you don't have to be of any particular religion to get the help. So people are finding that there is hope at the Union Rescue Mission to get off the horrific streets of Skid Row, which I remind people is not just one street, but it's actually about 60 blocks of the downtown Los Angeles area. Now, if you've been down there lately, as I have, but it's unbelievable. You go to the corner of 6th and San Pedro, for example, you don't even know if people are dead or alive on the sidewalks.
And it's right next to the convention center that we're going to spend $3 billion to rebuild.
Not far from there. That's right. So, the need is tremendous, but people just don't realize, just go through the doors at URM, it's a different world, just steps away from that horrific scene on the sidewalk.
And I'll tell you, this is one of these issues that I'm actually optimistic on, because AI is going to create or give us the ability to come up with cures for diseases, things like schizophrenia that many people living on the street suffer from. At some point, there will be a fix for that. There will be a way to treat it so that they can be functioning members of society. But in the meantime, we have to do something about what we have right now on the streets.
That's exactly right, and I loved your show the other day when you were looking at how many people will be impacted by this new proposition that kicked in for mental health, and was stunning to hear only a handful will be helped. But URM, which has many great partnerships with USC, with UCLA, with Pepperdine University, take a close look. Go to the URM.org website and see all these tremendous partnerships where healthcare is provided, dental care, mental health, legal help. It's really amazing, and it's something a lot of people probably don't even realize. Women and children cared for at a beautiful facility in Sylmar, away from Skid Row, and homeless women, children, and seniors cared for there. They also have the Angeles House facility in South LA, so they're doing a lot. Please go to urm.org and check it out.
All right, and we'll all be listening to Frank Mottek later today right here on AM 790 KABC in Los Angeles. If you're in the Bay Area, you can listen to Frank online at kabc.com. Coming up next, ABC News legal analyst Royal Oakes joins us in person. We're live from the Universal Hilton. Thank you.